Hey everybody, welcome to Big Sushi FM, and this is episode 174.
You know what's great with podcasting, John? Having a nice soda.
Yeah, so Russ, who did we talk to?
Oh, man, I think his name was Will Brierly. I don't know, there was a bit of a debate about this right before we started.
Was it?
If it was Brierly.
Or if, I just can't believe that, you know, he has all these amazing stories of hanging out with, like, Andrew WK and, like, 50 Cent and all this stuff.
And he's just dropping them.
Yeah.
Just dropping them, you know, like it's nothing. Yeah, I was hanging out with 50 Cent, you know.
Actually, I don't think he was hanging out with 50 Cent, but he was hanging out.
It wasn't quite that.
He was watching, a Chinese Connection with Andrew WK in the back of a limo.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, but no, we had him on because he is the maker of Soda Drinker Pro in the game Vivian Clark, which is a game hidden inside of Soda Drinker Pro.
Which is really kind of like, it's almost like a turducken, but with video games.
Yeah. It was a really awesome conversation. We got to talk a lot about his intentions, because his background actually comes from almost like music and like, I guess, a performance where he was a magician and a musician, and he's playing in bands and doing sleight-of-hand tricks through college. And it was really awesome to kind of talk to someone who I think is coming into this field from a direction that's not just so like games for games, because I played games, I want to make games.
Yeah. Yeah, the thing about him that was most interesting, just like throughout the interview, is like, I guess I expected whoever made Soda Drinker Pro to be pretty strange, but like, for example, I didn't realize that, like, putting yourself through college with magic tricks was even an option.
Yeah, or that he has a large love and respect for Dada, the Dada art movement, and Duchamp, and that's kind of...
Yeah, when you said Duchamp, and he's like, oh yeah, I love him, I was like, oh, yep, okay, yeah, perfect, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, and so it was really awesome to talk to someone about a game which is as kind of, like, I guess, aloof and experimental and kind of, I mean, I guess, in layman's term, an easy way to, I guess, equivocate it for those who listen, it might be trolly would be what you would describe the game as.
That's accurate.
But I feel like saying it's just like a trolley game is a total disservice to kind of what it's trying to do, because what I actually really like about Soda Drinker Pro, and something we talked about in the interview, was how there is like this subliminal layer of just trying to make the user feel good. Like, that's the whole intention, is just to make the person enjoying it feel good, and then to internalize all of that through the action of drinking soda. I loved it. I loved it so much.
All I have to say about that is somehow he managed to keep me playing for 102 levels.
It's the music. It's really what it is.
I think it is the music. And now that I know that he's the musician, that makes way more sense.
Yeah, the music is fantastic. But Russ, this is the part of the show we say, hey, you listeners, we need your help.
That's right. This is my favorite part of the show. This is where we get to say, hey, do you want to be a patron of the arts? Or at least a patron of people who really appreciate arts? Well, as it so happens, we have a Patreon page now.
Yes, you can go there, and even for $1 a month, that would be a huge help for us to keep doing what we do. We've been actually trying to think of like other things we could do as like bonuses, and we're trying to find really awesome ways to reward you, our listeners, for supporting us. So we've been looking at things like transcription services, or maybe new show content ideas. That Landon's been really working on some really exciting new show ideas for us to start hammering away on. And
I'm really excited to see some of that stuff come to fruition.
Yeah, and we really need your support to do so, because we do this for you guys. We try to keep this stuff as free and easy and accessible as possible, and with your help, we can continue doing that.
So if you're looking to reward yourself, however, especially after listening to this entire episode about Soda Drinker Pro, maybe you could click on our Amazon affiliate link and maybe go order a 12-pack of Surge from Amazon.
It's back. It's back, baby.
It is back. You
thought it was gone. Actually, from what I understand, it was never really gone. You had to just order it from like the Netherlands or Norway. Like, they actually were still making it somewhere in Europe, and you could import it back into the States. But now it's I think it's domesticated, right? This is like good old-fashioned domesticated Surge.
Exactly. It's like the opposite of what happened to PBR.
Aww. Aww.
Sorry to end on a downer, man.
It's all about soda.
Or start on a downer, yeah.
Actually, one thing we would like to do, if you listen to the show, I don't know if you noticed this, but we did a thing where we said, hey, we're going to be talking to Will about Soda Drinker Pro, and we put it out on Twitter, and we said, hey, send us your questions. So if you listen to the very end of the show, we actually ask Will all of the questions that was asked to us on Twitter, and I think it was something that we'll be continuing to do. And so, again, if you have any questions, or if you see, like, hey, we're talking to someone, please either hit us up on Twitter or Facebook, or just shoot us an email at contact@bigsushi.fm.
You'd be surprised the kind of questions that get answered.
Yeah, I do go through them. I'm not going to ask every question, especially if you're repeats if you're being mean. We don't want any mean stuff. Let's be nice.
Preferably not, anyways.
Let's be nice to our guests, because they're wonderful.
Yeah, that's probably for the best.
But that's it. I think that's everything, right, Russ? Oh, the holidays are coming up. End of the year stuff's coming up, so we do have some special stuff planned for that. You can bet your bottom dollar that we will have a stocking stuffer special episode again this year for you and your shopping needs to help pick out those perfect gifts for your geeky loved ones.
Yeah, and hopefully we'll have a knockdown, drag-out fight about the best game of the year again.
Yeah, no Batman as concept. That's a promise.
I don't think we can keep that promise, John.
I'm going to keep that promise. But again, yeah, just stay tuned, guys. Thank you so much for all your support, and let's get on to the show. So without any further interruption, here's episode 174 with Will Brierly talking about Soda Drinker Pro.
Enjoy.
Hi, Will. Is it William or Will? What do you prefer?
Will.
Will's fine. So, Will, it's been a long process of getting you on the show, even though you might not have been aware of it. It's been Soda Drinker Pro has been a thing that's been in my realm for a very long time. It's been in my periphery, and having seen you at, I think it was a PAX East or one of the conventions, I was like, hey, we need to talk.
Awesome.
You and I need to talk.
Yeah.
And then after sitting down and played through the game, I purchased it and played it some more after playing it at conventions. And also, I've been playing a lot of games that are very similar to Soda Drinker Pro, and at least in how it's form and function.
Oh, cool.
But I'm really... there's so many questions, really. Like, I don't even know really where to begin, other than... Let's just talk about soda. Like, how much soda do you drink? Let's start there.
Yeah, I don't drink a ton. I mean, I drink a lot of
it's bad
soda.
for you, right?
Exactly, that's the thing. It's like, like there are some sodas that aren't so bad for you. So like, I like the ones that like have like good ingredients and stuff. That there's a bunch that are like made with like real fruit and stuff.
Sure. Like, what can you name some names? Like, what sodas do you like and what sodas don't you like?
Oh, I love all of them. I mean,
come on, no! You gotta give me one. I'll start. I'll get in. I don't really like Pepsi. I'm not a fan.
Yeah. Pepsi's got like an interesting aftertaste. I like their video games. I think Pepsi Man's a great game. It's and they've done a bunch of other video game stuff too. I think I might be mixing it up, but I think Pepsi and 7-Up are the same company. And they did Cool Spot.
I think so, because...
Yeah, I was going to say, Cool Spot.
Yeah.
Right,
we can't forget that
Exactly.
this is not technically the first soda game.
Yeah.
Right. Well, no, there's a long legacy of soda games.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not trying to insinuate that this is just the most pro of soda drinking
Oh,
games.
yeah,
Exactly.
of course.
There's a lot of games, but this is more of a simulator. We're trying to
exactly,
be very
yeah.
accurate. So
See, Pepsi, for me, Pepsi reminds me of my grandmother, because my grandfather, at their house, like, that was their soda drink, whereas my family, like, would drink Coke. It was Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
And so there was always, like, those division lines. And so when I do drink Pepsi, it does remind me, oddly enough, of my grandmother. And it's not that I don't like it because of that. I also just don't like how it's flat. Like, I feel like whereas Coca-Cola, it's way more like carbonation in there.
Yeah,
I think that's what I like. That's what I like about soda, is the effervescence, much more than the sweetness.
Totally. That's like, I drink a lot of seltzer water, because I like that. But I drink a lot of water. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like,
Do you have a soda stream?
I don't, but in the office we have like a thing that you can kind of mix your own sodas and stuff. So it's so I do drink some sodas from there, and it's pretty cool because you can like adjust the levels of syrup to like carbonated water and things like that. So it's neat. It's but yeah, as far as sodas go, I mean, I love all of them. I'd say like, Avery soda, Pure Soda Works are great. Moxie, I like Coca-Cola and Pepsi. I like them all. I don't know. But I don't.
Are you a fan of Jones? And,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Thanksgiving,
Jones
like
is
all their flavors.
Totally.
Yeah.
I haven't had the Thanksgiving one yet, but I gotta check it out. But I think it's neat. It's like, I have a coffee soda sitting in front of me. I haven't drank it yet, but I've been meaning.
Coffee soda.
Yeah.
Oh, I've had that.
Is it good?
Yeah, well, I don't know. I mean, I had Coca-Cola's version of it because, like, back think it was 2007 or 6 or something like that, they did a coffee flavored Coke. And it was amazing. It was really,
good.
really good, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so I guess all right. If you can't pick a favorite like brand or anything like that, but let's go into like the flavors of soda, right?
Yeah.
Are you a fan of like the caramely like root beer, darker sodas? Or are you more a fan of like the Sprites and things like that? 7-Ups, Mellow Yellow, Mountain Dew, Surge.
Yeah.
If you remember that, and bringing Surge back. Yeah.
I think they all have a nice place. You know, like so. Say a Coca-Cola, I like to drink. You know, that's kind of like you're out eating a pizza or something, and you might want to drink a Coke.
Right. I'm the same way. I actually have a ritual with that. Whenever I order a pizza from anywhere, I feel like I am compelled to have like a 2-liter of Coke to go with it.
Exactly. Yeah. And then,
to drink about like 1 cup of, and then let the rest of it go flat.
Get flat, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
and then sometimes orange soda is like the special one, or like or maybe you want something just like a really really nice like ginger beer, or when you're sick, a nice ginger ale. So they're all different, and it's kind of neat because it's like a lot of the sodas like were originally sort of like like old timey medicine, cure your ails, and it's like so like Moxie I think was like that, and it's kind of, or I think Coke was too, but
right,
it was like they all, I think it goes back to like that sort of thing.
Didn't they used to call it like a phosphate or something like that? Like, wasn't that like the old timey term for it? Like, I'm gonna head down to the soda jerk for a phosphate.
Yeah, it might be. I'm not sure.
I think that's what I like about some of like the more of one might call it hipster or artisanal or whatever, like your like small like local store brewing their own soda type thing or making their own soda. The ones I tend to like of that caliber are the ones that tend to get more medicinal, right? That have like a lot more. So there's still
like a
cola
of some sort in there.
Yeah, but it's not so much as sweet as it is like it tastes more like cough syrup or I'm not sure what ingredient it is that does that.
Well,
whether it's like, especially with the colas in particular, if it's just like more like roots of things or like wood, birch. I don't know.
Yeah,
I have to say though, I mean, weird living. It's very fortuitous that we have you on right now because, of course, the pinnacle of soda has just been released.
Oh, really, Russ?
Yeah.
Go on.
Oh, come on, John. Don't tell me you don't know.
I'm drawing a blank. My soda. I don't drink as much soda as I used to now that I live. There's a tax on soda here now. I'm not sure if you guys know that. In California, they just passed a tax on sugary drinks.
This will not be taxed because this right here is medicinal, in and of itself.
What is it?
Of course, this is the Doritos flavored Mountain Dew
that
has been released. Yes, I mean this is clearly the pinnacle of soft drinks.
Have you been approached, Will? Have you been approached by like Mountain Dew or anyone? Have there been conversations like, hey, we should get like a Mountain Dew in there?
Yeah, it's pretty funny. I've talked to most of the folks from like the big soda companies.
Oh,
that's awesome. How does it go? Can you explain to me, or as in much detail as possible, like how does that work? Do you go to them or do they come to you, and what are they asking for?
Yeah.
Like, I'm so interested.
It's a little bit of both. And, we actually have something in the works with a soda company. I can't say who it is yet or what the exact thing is, but it's
Surge. I'm calling it
totally
Surge.
Awesome. It's like the last thing you'd expect to happen. And because what we were originally talking to doing was like making a level in the game be like super the ultra sellout level where we'll just be like ultra extreme Mountain Dew blah 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 or whatever, and it's got like a million banner ads and automatically tries to post on all your Facebook profiles or whatever.
Oh, that's like incredible.
But something even cooler has come about, and I can't say yet because we're like just finalizing the details on it, but it is way bigger than anything we've done so far, and it's so cool and funny. It's
the Macy Days Parade. There's gonna be a giant soda float. Is that what it is?
That'd be pretty incredible.
That would be awesome. That's like a giant like bonus soda floating through the sky. But if we can do it, that'd be awesome.
That'd be so when that actually does happen, we will finally know the answer to what is your favorite soda.
Exactly.
Because that will be the one that you have to say is your favorite soda.
Well, I think my favorite is a bonus soda. You know, like those are my favorite.
Yeah,
They can be
definitely.
anything. You know, it's like, so if I had to pick just one, that's what it would be, because it's
Sure.
you know,
That's what we call the easy answer.
exactly.
So I actually, speaking of easy answers and difficult questions, though, I have to address the elephant in the room here, and that is localization.
Yeah.
So, I mean, as you well know, people call soda various things throughout the country. So,
Right.
What are you? Do you have any
How you
plans for
address that?
localizing it?
Yeah.
Because
I
where we come from, it's pop.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's pop.
I don't know. I was so
It's pretty
confused for about
specifically
the
pop.
for the first 30 levels. I was like, what the fuck is this soda?
This is
stuff?
soda. I don't know what soda is.
Yep. Yeah, it's so we have, messed around with that a little bit. The only tricky part is in some areas down south, they actually call sodas or pops
Coke.
Coke, exactly, and it could
Yep.
be any
Yeah.
type of flavor, but it's all Coke, so it's like.
Yeah, they're fucking weird down there. I'm just gonna say, I'm gonna call a spade and say that's weird. It threw me off the first time I was down there. I was like, hey, can I have a Coke? They're like, all right, what kind? I'm like,
Yeah, it's interesting.
Coke?
It's like you're drinking a Dr. Pepper, and they're like, "Oh, here, have a Coke." And we're like, "What? Oh." And I had
You want Sprite Coke? Or
Yeah.
Orange Coke?
Yeah.
What the fuck are you talking about?
Pepsi Coke.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Wait a minute. Is that even legal to say Pepsi Coke? I don't even know.
Yeah, I don't know.
We'll
I
have to
think-
check with our legal team.
Yeah, it's interesting. But we have looked into it, and there's a possibility. We'll at least have some in the new version coming out. There's like a lot more customization and stuff. So it's like,
I mean, how much? I mean, like you start off with 0, so I mean, I think any customization
Yeah,
would be a lot of
exactly.
customization.
and when you press the escape button, it asks you once before it totally closes everything. So there's like a save state and all.
See, that's all the feature I want right there. Is just to be able to say, "Hey, are
Yeah.
you sure you want to leave?" Wait, no, shit.
So many people. There's like a couple of videos that there's someone playing the game like for an hour, and then they accidentally press the escape button and just lose everything. And I originally put it in there on purpose like that, but like,
I know. I at a certain point, I felt like this game
This is
knows.
all of this is deliberate. All of
Yeah,
this is
yeah.
extremely
Everything.
deliberate.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think before we dive into actually, because I want to talk a lot about the game and like the deliberacy of all of it. But I think I want to just for people who aren't familiar, I want to kind of dive in a little bit to kind of where you came from, Will, because. I don't think you would you call yourself a game developer first and foremost? Is that the thing when you were like in your life bio, it'd be Will, the creator and masterful game designer of Soda Drinker Pro, or is there something earlier? Like, what was your path to get here?
Yeah, so it's interesting. I went to school for music, and music business in particular, and so it was like music business and performance were my major, and so I played classical guitar and singing and stuff, and I went to UMass Lowell specifically because I wanted to write music for video games. So I had heard that the director of the music business program had written some music for some Sega Genesis games. So I was like, awesome, I'm gonna go to this school, and I ended up meeting him. He was really nice, and it was a great experience at the school. And but then I got like distracted by just playing in rock bands and stuff. So I ended up most of my college life was just playing shows, and I used to run a rock club, and then when I finished school, I toured in a rock band for like about a year and a half or so. And
What was the name of that rock band?
a couple of them. So the first one I was touring and opening up with. So I started opening up for Jupiter Sunrise, and we did I don't know, probably about a few loops around the country, and I think with them, I think it was around like almost a few hundred shows. So it was a good run.
Yeah.
And so I would open up for them, and then I eventually ended up playing in the band as like a backup guitarist for a while.
What kind of music were you playing? Like, what? I guess the question is like, what bands were you in, and kind of like what music, what genre you would put that in, or what,
Yeah.
like how you would describe the sound to people.
I guess the best way would be like bands on the we do like the Warped Tour and stuff like that. So like I would we played with everyone from like Coheed and Cambria to like 50 Cent and Hatebreed and
Wait.
Hold on a second. Wait, you
wait.
played with 50 Cent.
yeah.
Does he have stakes in your in your soda drinking program? Because
That'd be sweet.
God, that is a contact that needs to happen.
It was crazy. So this was a show. It was in like New York, and at this like big outdoor festival, and I guess he got there later than expected, so the lighting wasn't right or something. It was like this big. It was like right when Into Club came out, and
Okay.
so he was like, and he was doing like 3 shows that day. So he did one somewhere else, one in Albany, and then one was in Amherst, Mass. And so he actually ended up having to like borrow our lighting rig. So, I didn't talk to him or anything. I was on stage when he was performing, but like I was just like watching it from the back. And but yeah, he seemed cool. I didn't get to talk to him at all, but so with that.
But what you're saying is that he owes you one.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is we already know that he has an interest in creating video games because, of course, the wonderful, critically acclaimed
it's really
50 Cent
good.
Blood in the Sand.
Don't even joke about it. It's a fucking great game.
Yeah.
Like,
Here's the
I
thing.
love that game.
It sounds like I'm joking, but I'm not. That game's amazing.
Yeah.
That game has helped me coin the phrase of everything happening all the time, which is another way of describing I think Bayism or Bayham.
Yeah.
I think is the other way.
Bayham.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. That's like, but the other band worth checking out is, so I did that, and I played, did a bunch of solo tours too, and then I played with a band, did a decent amount of tours with them called Big Nazo, and if I recommend anyone checking them out because they're really cool. They're kind of like, picture like if you mixed like a old school R&B kind of funk band with like guar, and that's what it's like.
I don't know if my brain is capable of actually mixing those two things. I don't.
Yeah, it's awesome. And like with that, we'd play with like Bob Weir, Buckethead, and Flaming Lips, and all kinds of crazy people. So it was awesome.
That sounds totally rad.
Yeah.
So wait, why did you leave that to come to this shitty industry, right? Where it's like incredible hard to make it work.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess music's also really hard too.
Oh yeah, I mean, well, music, it's really fun and stuff, but like I just got tired of like waking up in a different place every day, not knowing where I was, and it's really fun. Don't get me wrong. Like everywhere you go, it's like everyone's super nice to you, and you play a fun show, and like our schedule was literally. We get to the show around 7, you play it, then you get out of the club at like 2 or whatever, you get paid, and then you go, on the bus and you play video games till around 11 in the morning, you wake up at 7, you do it again, and you just do that for like a year and a half, and it's cool, but like it's
not that cool.
Yeah, it's just like very tiring, and I just kind of miss being home and stuff, so I did some smaller tours and stuff, and then every once in a while I'll do a couple of music things, but like and I also toured as a magician for a little while, and
go on.
Yeah, so like in college I did I paid for a lot of college doing like close-up sleight of hand shows and stuff. So
never even considered that was an option.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's like at like high-end like private parties and stuff. And
my God.
What was your rate? What was your going rate for a high-end private party to do sleight of hand stuff for? Is it kids or is this adults?
No, just adults. I mean, I've done kids stuff a little bit, but like it varies between like $500 to $2,500 a night or so. So it's good for college. It's like
yeah, that's great.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic.
And like it's awesome because like I've done stuff in like Vegas and LA or whatever, and then you just fly out there. And you can basically...
What the fuck are you doing in games? I still you're not answering my question. Like, what are you doing here? Why did you come here?
Well, it's all the same thing. It's like whether it's music or magic or whatever it is. It's communication and like understanding the focus of the audience and things. So it's like say if you're doing a magic trick, you're figuring out where the audience is, and it's not about like tricking them. So like it should be about you kind of setting them on a little journey, and whether it's with a magic trick or whatever. And then a few minutes later, hopefully they're happier if we're doing it. So it's like, it's so it's all really the same thing. It's just kind of different tools you're using to do it. And the thing I like about video games is it's so much like there's more stuff to play with. So like, in music, you're just doing the song or like the communication with the audience if you're doing it live, or same with magic. But like with video games, you're doing everything from like the visual to the AI to programming, and then you get into the whole like the music and all that stuff, and you can really it's like an art form that gives you a lot to play with, and so that's
Right.
And so how I got into it though was so I was home from a tour one day, and my parents owned a canoe and kayak company, and where we would like rent canoes and kayaks. So like I grew up around canoes and kayaks all my life, and there's actually a bunch of references to that in Soda Drinker too. But so there's like tons of funny, weird references to things that only like myself and like my brother and sister would get. But like, so I was driving home from their canoe store once in my truck, and I had this like really old, like it was like 86 Toyota little tiny truck, and I was just like thought to myself, I'm like, oh man, I gotta make a video game. I'm gonna make an arcade game. And like I had no idea how to make video games or arcade games or anything. But I went home that day, and I think I talked to my friend on the phone. I was like, yeah, I really want to try this. And I got home and I started, learning like how to use Blender and Python, and I started making a game, and it didn't come out good. And then I made another one, and I started to like the direction it was going in, and it ended up turning out into like a full arcade game in actual arcades. And like it wasn't a financial hit or anything, but like it, we were like featured at like South by Southwest and all this crazy stuff. And
what's the game?
It's called Get Out of My Face. It's so funny. Whenever I say that name, I think like, because when I say it like that, I sound like I'm like a jerk saying like it's called Get Out of My Face, but like how it's actually meant to be said is Get Out of My Face. Like the whole idea was I wanted to make a game that had like a really like cool sounding title, and then the game was kind of built around that, and it was just a silly game. But then looking back on it, I think that like every time I tell people the title of the game, I feel like I'm being a jerk to them. So like like it's called Get Out of My Face, and like like I'm like no, I don't mean that, like
but like no, it's like it's actually called that. Like I'm not just being like clever here.
Yeah, exactly. And I would always have to like explain that, and I just feel awkward, and so it's like the heart was there, and it's there like as long as I don't have to explain it to someone, and like we might re-release it because it was a cool game. It's like it's really simple, like.
So are you telling me that you feel awkward having to explain Get Out of My Face, but you don't feel awkward when you're like, oh, it's called Soda Drinker Pro?
Yeah, exactly.
Like that's not awkward.
That's the funny thing is like anytime I explain it to someone who like, it's funny. My wife was explaining it to people the other day, and she like described it really well. She was like, yeah, it's a really silly game, like, and I always say that.
I'm gonna start here. All right,
starting off
really
up top.
Yeah,
it's a silly game.
Yeah, it's in and then I show it to them and they kind of get it, but like it's like it. But if I'm at like
do they get it? Do they actually get it though? That's the thing. Do they get it?
I have no idea. Like it was funny.
They probably just like nod and smile, like, "Oh, that's great, Will. Thanks, thanks for showing that to me." Now, let's do something else now, please. Anything else?
Yeah.
Like board games, something? I don't know. Drinks? Just want to get drunk instead? That'd be fantastic.
Yeah, it was funny. I was like at Comic-Con a couple weeks ago. We had a booth there, and it was like there was a mom there who had never played a video game in her life, and this was the first video game she ever played.
Oh no!
So I just pictured him like,
oh no!
Like what must she think that video games are? Like it's like. It's just,
goodness, a lot has changed since the old video games.
Yeah, this is the first one. It's like imagine if you like had a time machine and you showed like like someone their first game they've ever seen, and they're just slowly walking around this room drinking a soda, and they're like, "Oh, it's easy." Video games are easier than I thought. It's like.
Okay.
But yeah.
So that's in your face, or Get Out of My Face.
Yeah.
And then okay, so that game got released.
Yep.
And then Soda Drinker.
Yeah.
Or what was in between those two things?
So it was around that I think when I was making Get Out of My Face, I actually made the first version of Soda Drinker around then. So like I was really focusing a lot of stuff on the arcade game, and it was actually like a real game in arcade. So it was like we had to like make cabinets and all this stuff, and so it was a lot to like lug around to shows, and like they're heavy. I've still got one in my basement, and but there's a few out there, and but yeah, so around that time I made Soda Drinker. Just one day I like woke up and I was thirsty, and it was like made the whole 5 levels in a day or so, and it was really fun. I was just like having fun with it, literally from 3 in the morning till around 11 at night, and then and that was many years ago, probably like 5 or 6 years ago, and then I never really showed it to anyone. I like showed my girlfriend at the time, who's now my wife, and I just remember like I didn't talk to anyone that whole day, so I was like just like sitting around drinking soda and like eating tacos and stuff. I think like my dad saw it for a little bit, and he was like, "Oh, that's weird. That's funny," And other than that, it's like one of those things where like if you're just intensely working on something all day and then you actually talk to someone, you just sound like a complete crazy person. It's like,
no, I work from home.
Yeah,
that's me every day.
exactly.
So, yeah.
And then like if that thing that you're talking about is a soda simulation, you're just like, what? Like
even the best case scenario of that conversation is still going to be insane.
Exactly. And so I just showed it to her, and I posted it on what's it called? Something Awful on the forums there, and that was it. I showed it to a few people, and that was like a really early version that you didn't have like the mouse look, and like the Q and the E buttons rotated the character and kind of looked around, and so it was only 5 levels, and it was all in the Blender game engine, so it was just like Blender and Python, and then then I was showing another game at which never came out. This game called Me and You, and it's like a 2-player game where you both hold the controller. So like the idea is like, so say one player is using the directional pad to move around, the other one's using like the 4 buttons on the pad, but like they have to reach across to the other side of the gamepad to like shoot and stuff. So it's like you end up having to like touch each other's fingers a lot, and it gets like kind of awkward. And like, and it's a really cute game, but like you have to like, there's all like teamwork, and I might finish it someday, but like you basically have to help each other out the whole time, and that's the whole idea behind it, is like kind of like getting people comfortable with each other, where it's co-op, but it's like very close co-op. It's like you're gonna be like
if I feel like if you time the release of that right, like you'll catch a wave, because right now the main thing that seems to be going on is antagonistic co-op.
Totally.
Where it's like you're technically working together, but not really.
Yeah. This one, it's
that'd be a perfect like palate cleanser after that.
Yeah, it'll be fun. It's a pretty game. I never finished it, but I maybe I will someday. A lot of the characters from that ended up in Vivian Clark, but they I was showing that at an Andrew WK concert, actually. And so,
as one does,
as you do.
show games.
Yeah, exactly.
Fucking concert. What do you?
Well, that's the thing. It's
You
like
just say it so like, oh yeah, so I was at an NJWK concert showing off a game, as if that's what all developers do.
Yeah,
I have them on speed dial. You know how it is.
Exactly. Well, I got some funny Andrew WK stories. That's
we will have to go into those.
Yeah, he jump started my limo once, which is a sentence that's pretty crazy. Back in the day,
that is the definition. That is the definition of humble brag. That sentence right there. Oh yeah, I had Andrew WK jumpstart my limo one day.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah, I mean, I was just hanging out with Kanye and shit. It wasn't a big deal. But then Andrew WK's like, I got this.
Yeah.
It's like, what the fuck?
It's not as like, well, I mean, it's pretty cool, but like what happened was
it's pretty cool.
I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty amazing.
Pretty cool.
So back it was the limo that I was like living in, so it was like it wasn't like fancy. It was like
No, that's
a
still
road
pretty
dog.
cool.
And so he was playing a show
That's still pretty cool.
Yeah, it was neat, and we were watching American Ninja the movie in there
Nice.
for too long, and the battery died, so they pulled the bus around and jump started. It was cool, but But so back to the Andrew WK show, it was in Providence, and we were showing this, and there was a fellow who just happened to be walking by, and he was like, he was talking to me and stuff, and he mentioned that he runs a soda club, and I was like, oh, I made a soda video game once. So he was like, cool, and we just started talking, and just a nice guy, and that was about it. And then like a year later, I got emails from like all my email addresses, and it was like, are you the guy that I talked to? I'm just like looking for this person who I met once. We talked for like 5 minutes, and he did a good job. He found me, and like, he was like, are you, did you make this soda game? Because I'm doing a soda festival, and can you show it at the festival? And I'm like, yeah, So it was like so awesome that he got in touch, and really nice guy, and it's like a soda club, like in the soda festival. It's so cool.
So wait,
like,
this happens in Providence?
Yeah, and so,
Russ, you
how
lived in
did I
Providence.
miss this?
Yeah.
I lived there for like 3 years. I missed.
No way.
Oh my god.
Oh man, when did you live there?
I lived in Providence from 2011 until 2013.
Oh, cool. Yeah, that happened around then. So like, I do a lot of stuff in Providence. I really like it. There's like a lot of fun art stuff and good scene there. And so that was the night of the soda festival. It was like a super snowy night, and I almost didn't get the game out for a bunch of reasons. Because first off, I couldn't find the original assets to the game because I was like collecting computers on Craigslist. Like you buy like a $30 computer, and I would try and put my arcade game on it or whatever. And so I had all these like old, halfway working computers, and one of them had the assets to Soda Drinker on it. And out of like 5 or 6 computers, the last one had it, and I was like ready to give up. And then from there, we rebuilt it in Unity with the help of my brother. And but then so we're getting ready to show it, and then there's a huge snowstorm that night, and it was like
I know what year this was.
Yeah, this was like 2013, I think.
Yeah.
So
I remember that snowstorm.
Yeah, and then so we ended up taking the train down because we couldn't drive, and just like I remember like a taxi. I got out of the train station. The taxi wouldn't take me because it was like too short, so we had to like walk like about a mile or so in the snow, and like run to the thing, give the presentation, and I could only stick around for like 20 minutes, and they had awesome sodas there, and like they had like soda poetry and movies and stuff, and it was a really cool thing. And it was like I was like, I have to go to this because anyone who like treks out in like the middle of a snowstorm when like, everything else is closed is going to be totally awesome. Like these are the people I want to be around. So like I only got to stay for a little bit, and they were totally awesome. It was like such a nice scene, and then I my wife and I took the train back, and we just made the last train and just made it home and got home safe and sound. But it was like and that was kind of the start of all this soda stuff happening. It was like, the response there was really good, and I was like, oh, let's see what we can do with this, and then
I'd like to point out that it's not just the response there that has been like overwhelmingly positive. You currently have a 9.3 on Metacritic.
Nice. That's awesome.
Suck it, Assassin's Creed.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh man.
It's mixed reviews. And some people like it, some people don't like it, but it's it's kind of like Microsoft Flight Simulator isn't for everyone, but it's
right.
Like, if you want to really experience soda on a deeper level,
I don't think. See, I think I would even say that. I would say if you want to experience yourself
Yeah.
on a deeper level, and soda just happens to be the vehicle in which you are transporting people there to some pretty either existential thought or egoist thought or
Yeah.
whatever like philosophy they want to dive into. I feel like this is just a way to jumpstart it.
Exactly. That's kind of like, it's one of those things where like when you play the game, you might be like 5 levels into it, and you're like, I'll probably like stop, maybe, I don't know. And then you get like 20 levels in, and you're like, well, I've gone this far. So
Now I'm hip.
You're describing Russ's experience exactly.
Yeah, I made it all the way to 102, actually.
Nice. Awesome. Yeah, and I wanted to make it so like every level there's actually like something kind of fun or silly that could happen or something that's worthwhile. Except for like one level on the fluffy cloud level, there's nothing in there.
There's
But, like, yeah, that's just a fluffy cloud, you know, like. But I guess that's kind of. But,
Isn't
like,
this enough?
yeah,
It's a fluffy cloud. What more do you want?
And it's like set up so like you can only you can fall off of it and like land on another cloud, but like just barely, and that's it. You know, like there's there's other levels where you can maybe do some funny stuff, or there's some cool stuff to look at, or like maybe like the music is neat or whatever, and it's kind of like I want to give each level its own sort of special thing, and
Right.
yeah.
So I think this is the part where I want to start really diving into like the intentions with the game. So I think you said a very interesting thing earlier, which is something that I always like tend to end up saying in these interviews or in these conversations, is that video games are just another form of communication, right? It's just another way of communicating with an audience, and you seem to be pretty hip on that because that's something that you've probably experienced from music and also from like the magician stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That is, you have like this kind of direct feedback loop with your audience, and with video games it's a little bit different, right? It almost gets a little bit more to, I guess, what you could say like classical or more traditional like art exhibitions and things like that, because you're kind of putting things out there and then people interact with them and then they come back to you. Whereas things like music, magic, even cooking, these are all very like immediate feedback loops.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know instantly whether it was good or bad what you just did.
Yep. Yeah.
And so with Soda Drinker Pro, I look at each of the levels as it's its own little like installation. It's its own little thing.
Yeah.
Are you familiar? I mean, I'm sure you are, but are you familiar with like artists like Duchamp, right?
I'm a huge fan.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay.
You hit
So-
the nail
so-
on
I
the
didn't
head.
want to come straight out and be like, is this a piece of Dadaist art?
Right,
Or
yeah,
it's
yeah.
like,
Well,
I just like, that might be a little too pretentious to start the thing off with. But
But no, I definitely read Dada in this, and so I know at this point we're saying things like Duchamp and Dada that people might not know anything about at all. But if they do, they're probably like freaking out, like, okay, cool, now I need to play this game. But for those that aren't familiar, I guess, Will, and since I would like for you to describe kind of what that means and kind of what that means for your work and for Soda Drinker.
Yeah, I mean, as far as a comparison, I've just always been a fan of his stuff. I like the way that he thinks about like art in general. Is like, when there's a bunch of really good interviews with him. It's like I feel like I couldn't do him justice by like I don't remember the quotes offhand, but like it's a mix between like it's funny but simple, but it's also finding like the art in like very simple things that can be done quickly too. There's some if you
And he was almost like antagonistic about it too, right?
Totally.
Because like before he did the toilet piece, which I can't remember the name
Yep.
of that, because that was like the really breakout. That's the thing that everyone remembers him for. But he was a very classical painter before that, like very traditional and very good. Like he was a very excellent skilled painter. But then I think in his own kind of ire and trying to be antagonistic towards the current art climate, he put a toilet upside down on a pedestal.
Yeah.
And everyone raved, everyone flipped out about it, and it has then kind of helped inform like former art movements.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been a long time since my art history class, and my sister loves Duchamp and talks about like this transition period in art quite a bit. And this is also sort of where like Dada comes from, and where Dada is also sort of this thing where it's like in the realm of absurdity, right?
Yeah.
Where it's kind of creating these spaces and these environments that are just so just absurd.
Yep.
And then forcing the viewers to engage with it in some way.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like sometimes and that's what I like about Duchamp is like he had the chops to do, like he it wasn't just like he was like I'm doing like crazy thing, it was like he knew what he was doing when he did it, And
Right? Yeah. It was very premeditated.
Exactly. Like and as far as video games go, like I know there's a million better, like 3D modelers or artists and stuff than me or whatever, but like but the idea of like the chops is kind of like, like having experience in other art, areas. I think it's like you can just apply them across the board, hopefully it works, but it's like, but I know there's people who train all their lives to do this stuff, and they're really good too. So I don't know. It's kind of like I like to think of it like a classical guitar player compared to Kurt Cobain, where it's like they're both really good. It's just different, different styles and achieve different results. And I don't really think there's one better than the other, because I love Segovia and I love Kurt Cobain and like all sorts of stuff. So it's like it's all good. It just depends.
Do you feel like you catch some of that flag for like in the video game space? Do you feel like there's other people? Do you think like John Blow looks at your work and like fucking this guy?
I don't know. I haven't gotten like I think some people. I have.
I'm sure John Blow wouldn't do that. He's actually a really nice guy. Cool. So I'm just using him as using him as a bad example. Yeah, no, he seems really nice. I don't know. I couldn't think of a developer who would look at that and be like, "Fuck this guy."
Yeah, I have gotten some things where people are like, like think that I'm making a mockery of it or whatever. Where it's like, there are people training their whole lives to do this, and you're just doing this or whatever. And it's like, I've trained my whole life to do it in a different way, I guess. Like it's just like,
right.
So it's I don't know about that stuff. I guess you just you try and figure out what you want to make, and hopefully it comes out the way you want it to. That's just the way I like to think of art. Is like what do you want it to do, and hopefully it does it. And you have different tools and things that like I have another game I'm working on that has a totally different look and feel to Soda Drinker. And it's all like realistic and stuff. So it's like
right.
It's it's just kind of like whatever's appropriate for the situation. And I think if I did did make it like look like Call of Duty, not that I think I could, but like I could like buy some assets that might,
or I think that's the way you should go. Like if you're gonna port it to next gen, then like get CryEngine. Yeah, get the newest version of CryEngine and do it up like that.
Yeah.
So, but I think you raise an interesting point, right? Because and I think this helps at least for me, and I think it might help for this conversation that we've kind of established kind of what you're like how you're framing this and what you look at Soda Drinker Pro when it's trying to accomplish. But what's nice about how it's framed is now I can ask you the question of like what's the intention, right? Because that's something that I feel like it's not a concept that a lot of developers in the game space think about. They don't really think about their intention other than I'm making a game for me, which is like that's totally fine. That's a really awesome thing to do. But when the nice thing about when you're starting to deal with these more expressive and kind of installation pieces, that there is an intention. You want people to feel something, or you're trying to communicate an idea. And so for you with Soda Drinker Pro, what would you say was the initial intention when you first did it, and then now having it been like 5 years since this thing has been kind of in the ether, in existence, like what is the intention now?
So it originally started from two very pure places, which is like, and I think that's kind of one of the things with any sort of art stuff. It's got to come from the heart. And the first place was actually being really thirsty. So like I totally was thirsty, like
really pragmatic intention.
Exactly. And I sincerely thought to myself, I'm like, well, I will just make a first-person sort of simulation. FPS, and I was like half asleep, so I did it. But the other place, and then I thought it would be funny, and I just thought it would be funny.
But at a certain point, though, it had to consume you in a way. It's like, wait, but this could be something more, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But then as it started growing and more people started downloading it, then I was like, well, let's build this out a little more, and the main intention for it is just like having fun, basically. Like it's like I want it to be like a really nice sort of experience where it's like hopefully will make people like feel something nice, and it sounds corny or whatever, but that's seriously what I'm going for. Is like like I love games that like make me happy and like are nice.
It can just draw a smile on your face.
We'll call it the Hohokam school of video game design.
Yeah.
I think the term that people have been using now and coining it, I'm not sure. I'm not sold on it just yet. Is Zen, like Zen gaming, right? Which is just more about like just enjoying the experience and not really like there's no real pressure or anything like that, but you're kind of just you're being able to visit digital worlds, which is kind of like the major promise of a lot of video games, right? Was to transport us somewhere else.
Exactly.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Oh, yeah. And that's, the other area, as we started building out, like, the Vivian Clark stuff, is, like, the feeling of, like surprises and like in going on like a journey, but like also inside your own sort of head, because the way that it's all set up is like is meant to hopefully this accomplishes it, but it is meant to like kind of map out the way that at least I like to think of how stories work. So it's like one thing happened and that something else happened to that, which led to something else that happened to that, and then like some. So it's like hiding like a secret place inside of a weird thing that hopefully makes you feel good. So,
Right. Actually, when you had mentioned that you used to do magic, I wanted to ask if that had anything to like if that origin had anything to do with how you hid Vivian Clark.
Yeah.
In Soda Drinker, because like that's a kind of a very specific thing where you're just like, well, I'll hang out here for a bit and wait, what's this button?
Yeah, exactly.
And then whole game just hidden inside of other game.
Yeah. Yeah, that's totally it. It's kind of like, the thing that makes like a good song or a good, magic piece or whatever work, I think, is like when it's taking you in a direction that you feel comfortable with, but then like a surprise happens, and then like a good example, you look at like any Beatles song, most of them are like 1-4-5 progressions, but then they'll throw in this weird part that like it might be like a little a chord that's like that you didn't expect, or it's maybe like a time signature change or some wacky thing that you would have never expected, but like you're happy that they did it. And so many great songs do that, and it's like it takes you from like a comfortable place, and it's kind of like how I think we can like how we learn from each other. It's like first you have to kind of enter into someone's state and be on the same level for you can kind of before you can go to the next place with them. So it's like that's kind of what I was going for with that, and with all this stuff, but especially with Vivian Clark, there's definitely magic influences in that, because it's like for sure. So,
yeah, it's kind of a I believe the psychological term is cognitive dissonance, where
exactly,
you have an expectation and then
that's it.
I was going to say, just it forces you to pay attention. Like that's
totally.
I think when you mention those like Beatles songs like that's the thing for me anyways. It really forces you to sort of pay attention to that song.
Yep.
The other song too is I think it's Modern Man by oh god, what do they call it? Or what's the name of the band? I don't know, I'll have to come back to it. But there's like a sudden shift in time. Cool. In that song where it goes from like it's sort of like a 4/4 time, and then all of a sudden it's just like 3/4, and then it goes back to 4/4, and it's like that sudden shift kind of leads you like
yeah, that's where you start feeling this stuff,
yeah,
like...
and then you start listening to the song
exactly. Yep. Yeah, it's what you use in the mentalism world, that we call that a pattern interrupt. So like you use that to you set someone up in a position where they're normally would follow in a certain way, and as you do that, and then you break the pattern, and you but then you make them really comfortable with that, and then you can kind of change their reality around that. So it's pretty cool. But yeah, it's fun.
No, I like that stuff a lot. And I think one of the interesting things is through playing through Soda Drinker Pro, because I would actually spend time in each level like and listen for the track to kind of complete the music track, and then I would also try and listen to all the audio that would be playing, because you have a lot of like subliminal stuff stuck in there.
This soda.
Yeah, make a soda, drink a soda. But the one large theme that I kept hearing over and over again, which then led me to a Wikipedia hole of looking up realms of philosophical thought. This is a true story, the thing that happens. There's this repeated theme in the game, which is I'm really interested to kind of hear your thoughts, because it might not be something you even thought about, or it might be something that you're like, awesome, someone finally picked up on this. Is that you're constantly referring to like the objects or the scenery or the levels of things that augment the experience of soda. Mm-hmm. That is like, oh, this disguise makes my soda taste so much better.
Yeah,
or like it's like there are expressions like that, and it's kind of like repeated a lot throughout the game.
Yeah.
And I was trying to think, I was like, there's like something that is like there is like a theory of thought, a realm of thought that deals with that, where basically everything is in service for like the person or like the ego. Mm-hmm. which turns out is just called egoism, which makes sense. But then if you think about it, that the fact that you're having all, like, you're putting out this message, but you crafted that message, so it's not necessarily for your ego, it's for the player's ego. And it's this weird, like, I'm trying to, like, wrap my head around, so, like, because you could, at that point, then, the term soda kind of becomes interchangeable. You could kind of remove soda and put anything else you want in there.
Exactly.
And also the fact that these worlds are simulations, or just virtualizations of, like, these real places, very crude, like, virtualizations of these real places, but I think that helps because they are so crude, it allows us to kind of make the mental jump, the creative jump to make them be more tied to our own like memories, our own like real spaces that we visited or have been to.
Yeah.
And so like that's what I was thinking about, like, laying awake at night last night thinking about this. Like, what is that? What is he trying to say? What are you trying to say?
You know that so there's a couple, like when I do the vocals on it, it's first off, it's really fun because my wife's usually
it's so crude too. I love it. It's just like it's so like lo-fi and dirty, and you can hear yourself clicking the stop button and stuff. Like, I love that.
It's like most of those are done with Microsoft Sound Recorder on purpose. So like I've got like Ableton and all this other stuff, but I used that in like but the actual songs are written in Ableton and a couple other things. But like,
is there a soundtrack? Is there a way for me to get to the audio? Because I love it. I love a lot of the songs. I actually really do like.
Oh, thank you. I'll send it to you. So it's but yeah, so there's a couple things when making all the sounds. First off, it's like, it's really neat that you picked up on that, because it's like, so you're looking at things in the environment and it's saying like, oh, this water slide soda's making me great or whatever, and like and so you're making the soda taste better, and then you're putting the soda to your mouth, which is psychologically going into you. And so so that is kind of what, like, my, I mean, it sounds corny, but like that's stuff that I thought about when I was like making these things, is like, what is the thing that you could say, and I as crudely as it was recorded, my intention in that stuff is basically like, hopefully, and there's like hundreds of thousands of kids who play this, so it's like, I want it to be like, whatever those sounds are going to be, hopefully make them feel something good or whatever, where it's like, so they see the thing, you connect that thing to the soda, which makes it taste better, and then when you drink it, it goes into you, and hopefully it does.
Right. I guess that totally makes sense, right? Because like from the very beginning you said you wanted this experience to be like a positive, like almost like a happy experience, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And so it's almost like you have this game full of positive affirmations, which are like hidden underneath this pretense of it being soda, and you're just gleefully walking around in kind of like this quaint, silly game, and but the internalization then is that, oh, this soda is better, and I am drinking that soda.
Exactly.
I am therefore better.
Yep. That's kind of like in a nutshell what the bigger idea
has anyone else said, like, gotten this from it?
No one's actually like said it out loud, because it's like people say like, I like this, but I don't know why. But like, you're the first person to like hit like the nail on the head as far as like what I've like physically tried to do in the game. So
because I feel like so many people, that's like the one thing that I like about it, and the one thing that I also is like kind of a frustrating thing, even though I didn't make it, but I am frustrated for you in the sense that the game is, it has a certain aesthetic quality. It's going for a certain tone and tenor, which is, I think, very easy for a lot of people, especially in like the games industry, to look at me like, oh, haha, look, it's so funny. I'm gonna walk around and drink soda. Isn't that rad?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Let's go back and play Call of Duty.
Yeah.
And like it was like super, like very superficial interaction with it. But I could tell, like, there's no way in hell. Like, this is the very first thing I said after like playing through the first, like, I think 20 levels. I was like, there's no way in hell someone. And then after I dug into like the directories, I saw like there's actually like 200 level worth of assets.
I saw that.
I was like, all right, so there's no way in hell someone spent this much time making this like purposely looking crude. It's not like I could tell that you weren't inept. It's just like you are purposely doing this. Like, it's very deliberate in so many ways. There's no way someone spent this much time and this much deliberation on something for me to just be like, oh, look at me, I'm drinking soda.
Yeah.
let's make a let's play video of this. All right, cool, later, dudes.
Yep.
It just doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah. No, that's kind of the plan, and it's like, and people can take it for whatever, like some people just like to play it, just be like, oh, it's silly, and that's cool with me too, But it's
yeah,
like,
it is. It works on that level too. But I feel like it's almost like it would be so frustrating to me for people to like for no one to ever like take that extra step.
yeah, it's neat. I love it when they do, because it's like it's whether they consciously do it or not. I'm hoping like people and it's one of those games where like my guess is people aren't going to play it like every day or whatever. They might. It's kind of like watching a movie, like you don't want
Right.
to watch the same movie every day, but like
Unless it's Dread, but yeah.
exactly. Yeah. But hopefully they'll, and that's the other reason we put in the Vivian Clark stuff, is like gives you an extra reason to come back, but also that's a whole other idea inside of the game, So it's like that's its own thing in itself, which is now I can't wait to show you like the full new version, because it's like the current version, it's okay, but like it's like miles behind what we've got now, so it's like it's way crazier. So it's like now it's like it's way bigger than Soda Drinker itself. So it's like and there's no extra download and all this stuff. So you go into the thing and then
It just all starts happening.
yeah, and it's like and then you actually have to go back into Soda Drinker as Vivian Clark characters. And like,
whoa,
yeah,
all right,
it gets really
all
crazy.
right.
So
That's pretty rad.
yeah, and there's like a lot of, not a ton of crossover between the two, but the worlds exist in the same space. It's like it makes everything make extra sense without spoiling it.
I wanted to ask, so like I said, I played all 102 levels because I'm insane.
That's impressive. 'Cause
Awesome.
I didn't get that far. I'm gonna have to go through now and actually do it, because I can't let Russ be the only one up on me on that.
There's a world record speed run worth checking out.
Is there?
Oh yeah, there's a bunch.
Oh man.
But I don't want to. That's the thing. I don't want to speedrun, because I actually like to listen to all the audio.
Oh yeah.
It's gonna take me like 6 days to do it, because I'm gonna listen to everything.
So before I knew about Vivian James or like any of that stuff, I as I was playing through, I think it's level 69 or something like that. Mm-hmm. It's kind of profoundly different from like the rest of the levels.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has like it has all kinds of like weird animated stuff, and there's like a caterpillar and like all kinds of, and I was like, oh wait,
exactly. Yep. So that's kind of like gives a little clue, It's
there's something else. Also, this game is like 800 megabytes. So
yeah, exactly. We're just really bad at compressing the images, and it's funny because it's like the images for the actual like soda levels is like there's a technique I use for making each one of like the walls and all that stuff is like you use a 500 by 500 pixel PNG, and I'm left-handed, so I do it all with my right hand when using the mouse, so like it's consistent, like so you get the same like resolution all the time because it stretches the UVs and all this stuff. It's pretty funny.
Oh man, I love it. I think it's fantastic. I also I just. Oh man, it's stuff like this that I like a lot about video games. Like I was mentioning earlier, I've been playing a lot of games that are very similar to this, because I mean, in a lot of respects, like Soda Drinker Pro is kind of in the same. I would put it in the same constellation of things like Dear Esther or Ultra World, which is a game that came out this year, which is actually like. And if you actually, Russ, when you play Ultra World, and I would recommend you do the same, Will, is that you will see a lot of similarities, not so much in the story, but just in how you are presenting space and how people are to then navigate through space. And then it's also like it's supposed to be like a self-reflection like experience ideally, whereas I think you do a much better job of like having that be like hidden and more subtle, or there's a lot more subterfuge at play in Soda Drinker Pro. And Ultra World I think is like much more of a direct path of like he's asked like the characters in the game are asking you very directly about sort of like philosophical questions and things like that. But just also in the presentation of like music and visuals and navigating space, like that's
cool.
I think there are a lot of similarities there, and I think that's a real cool thing that we're starting to see in a lot of games. Is that I feel like even I think Gone Home in some regard is much more of like this environment in which it's an exhibition, an installation, or whatever you would like to describe it as, and the viewer is then tasked to kind of go through it. And is that something that do you like this space, or because you've made so many different games, and Vivian Clark is a much different game than that. But it seems that there is something really nice, and I think something that kind of gets closer back to like the musical performance and the magician stuff about having like this installation, these virtual installations, also like kind of game things.
Oh yeah, I think it's neat. It's like it just changes. You know, I love like Gone Home and Proteus and things like that, where you're just
right. Proteus is another one.
I was waiting for you to mention Proteus.
Yeah, they're just nice. You know, like it's neat because like it's not like, you know, any of us knew about each other's games when we were making them too. It's kind of like we're just like, oh, cool, like this all, like I feel like sometimes like
same brainwave.
Exactly, yeah. We were just so Gone Home's extra cool because you can like pick up sodas and stuff in it. But like, but
it's got an extra
spiritually
special place.
Similar.
Yeah. But like, actually, they're just nice, you know. And it's like I love all the different, like, you know, like I still play like Team Fortress and stuff, you know. So it's like, but it's like I also, you know, like they're all. It's kind of like the sodas, you know. It's like there's great ones for all different times. So like some days I'm playing, you know, like Mario or like, you know, all sorts of games. I don't know. Like I've been playing what's it called, the Rocksmith game where you play with the guitar. That's really fun.
Yeah,
I like them all. I like Just Dance. I like dancing. You know, but and then I like you know, they're all cool.
Well, I noticed that you have Oculus Rift support.
Yeah,
which is absolutely essential to the experience. I feel like I didn't really get, like, you know, the game because I don't have an Oculus Rift yet. But,
it's totally that's a great way to experience it. It's like it was so fun making it with that too, because I would wear the Rift like for like 6 to 8 hours a day. So because and it's a slightly...
Did you see the ghosts in the machine? Did you see it?
It's crazy. It's like it's a nice game to play in it, because like a lot of the Rift games, when you like, some of my favorite experiences are kind of just like looking around at stuff, you know, like and it's a good way to do it, and it's a different experience than the non-Oculus version, because it's like the soda is placed slightly differently, so it should like line up with your mouth, you know, like because it should feel like it's going into your mouth. And it moves slightly different. There's some different height issues and stuff too, but it's like
right.
So it's best. It's not just like we swapped out the camera. Like every level is tuned for the Rift on it. So it's
I actually the other thing I did want to ask was the notion of scale just like varies wildly, like from level to level.
Yeah.
With no regard for what is happening in that level. Well, with seemingly no regard for what is actually happening in that level. I think it's like the conference room or something like that. When you are like the size of a mouse, and all of the sodas are enormous.
Yep. With that, there's nothing deep behind that. That's more, I just thought it was funny.
But I don't know. But that's almost like bullshit though, because you could very easily begin to like psychoanalyze those things, like very like easily. Like, oh, well, he's really small in the conference room, so he must feel really small on this stage, which is like mimics. It's very easy to start making those mental jumps. The other thing is that like the placement of the bonus sodas, like some of them are just unattainable.
Yep. That's
just totally unattainable. Which again, like
just
very
like in
easy.
Life.
Very easy.
They are probably the most delicious sodas.
Yeah, exactly. You know, it's like you can't get all of them, and you literally can't get all of them. And you know, like there's a bunch that are just you can't jump in the game. You know, we might, and I'm kind of curious what your thoughts on this. We've been thinking about adding in tournament mode for the Xbox One version, where like you move around really fast and you jump, but every time you jump, you actually do a flip.
Okay.
So like a first person game where you flip.
I would like to see that. I'd actually send me a build of that in it, and I'll get back to you. 'Cause that could be pretty rad, actually.
Yeah. And like you move fast and stuff. It would just be funny, you know. But like we have a lot of funny stuff.
I think for a tournament mode, it would be something where every time you jump, like you jump less high.
Yeah, that could be cool.
Or so like something like that.
Until you drink
where,
more soda.
Yeah.
Or, no, I don't even think that. I think it's just like you only have so many jumps at degrading height of every jump to the point where you're just walking. So you have to like decide which bonus
which bonus sodas are really worth it.
Are the ones that are worth it.
Yeah. We've got
I think because that would force people to get way more creative.
Yeah.
Of like looking at all the levels and like, okay, well, I can get like 2 bonus sodas and 1 jump on this level, so that's like a high priority target for me.
Exactly. That could be cool. That's
I love it, and I love seeing gamers or like people who play a lot of games find ways to kind of reverse engineer and find like the best, like, you know, remember like when you watch Half-Life 2 speed run, right, where like they've sort of like broken the game apart to the point where like they know like, okay, I can do this weird jump thing here, which helps me skip all this stuff, right? Yeah.
Yep.
And so I love watching people kind of go back through levels and like and then like planning best routes. I love that type of stuff.
Yeah, so cool. It's like, yeah, that'd be neat. We were doing the other thing that's really funny is the Kinect stuff we've got in it. It's like it's really cool. Like, so like you hold the actual soda cup in your hand, and like you can move it like in and out of the distance. So like you can move it away from you and it goes away, and you can like rotate the cup in your hand and stuff, and then you put it to your mouth and sip. And it's like we made that like really, like, my brother's doing all that stuff and he's doing an amazing job. It's like so cool. And there's another thing we're working on with it that probably make it in there. It's like, you ever see like the old show Nick Arcade?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like at the end where it would like kids would be like a blue screen and they have to like, you know, play. They're in the game, you know, like. So like we have a way we can do that with the Kinect where we can like remove the background, sort of like a green screen effect, and put you in the game, and it's really funny. So.
I think you guys may be the ones to finally create the killer app for the Kinect. That's like, I can see it happening.
It'll be fun. It's like Kinect is, it's like really impressive. Like the stuff that, you know, I wish they would like show what you can actually do with it. It's like as a developer with it, it's like the stuff that you can potentially do is amazing, but it's like, you know, everyone's just trying to like recreate like Wii Sports or something, and it's like, you know, there's creative things you can do, and I've seen some like demos and stuff that people have made with it. It's really, really cool. But hopefully, you know, it'd be neat. It's a interesting device. I do, you know, wonder like it's just like, is someone always watching me or whatever? But,
yeah,
but
there's some privacy concerns, perhaps.
Yeah, but chances are it's fine. So
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, we're coming up on the end, and yesterday I tweeted that we were talking to you today, and we actually got people to send questions in. So I think we're gonna do like at the end now. We're gonna just like shotgun you a bunch of questions.
Cool.
From random strangers on the internet.
Awesome.
So that sounds safe.
Very first, yeah. Well, I'm gonna go through them. I'm not gonna like ask them profane things. I take care of that. That's my job. So the first question is, yo, you come into console? ?
Yes, we are. Xbox One. So, yep.
All right, easy.
And it should be hopefully early 2015, but it got pushed back a little bit because we ended up doing the mobile version, and so that was like, you know, we're a small team, so we could only work on certain amount of things at once, but definitely still coming out. So, and it's really cool.
All right, so this is getting closer to what we asked earlier. Oh, sorry, no, I skipped one. Level select. When?
Yes. That's in there too, and it's really cool looking. It looks like a soda fountain machine. So like you're going down this like infinite soda fountain. So it's like, it's really cool. But you only get the level select if you've beaten the game all the way through once. So like you don't get the level select until you've beaten the full game. But you can save the game before then. So it's like. You don't have to play it in one run, but that's the best way to play it. Is kind of
certainly, yeah. I can attest to that.
Yeah.
Just grab some friends, grab some soda.
Yep.
And just let her rip.
Exactly.
All right. Next question. This is one that gets closer to what we were talking about earlier, which is what flavor of soda is actually in it?
Yeah, a bonus soda. You know.
There it is.
Bonus flavor.
Soda.
Yeah,
exactly. Bonus flavor.
Yep.
This guy wants to know when you're going to remove the scary owl from the train track level. It is haunting his mind.
Yeah, it is very scary, and I apologize for that.
I saw it. It's terrifying.
We get a lot of letters from parents saying that this is not appropriate for kids because it's too scary. But I think, you know, there's some things that people have to deal with in life, and there's scary owls is one of them. So
right, and also dark subliminal messages being played backwards in the audio all the time.
Exactly.
Drink more soda.
Yeah.
That's the soda sponsorship you got. The whole thing is just like by the end, I'm like, man, I really want a surge right now. I don't know why.
It's weird.
So weird. Will, thank you so much for taking the time. Where can people go and like look up all the stuff that you're working? Because you're doing this. You're also doing like the other game. But where do you want to point people to go so they can find out more about all the craziness that you're? Do you have like a memoirs page? Do you have like a blog or a biography of like all of the crazy things you did back before you did this?
I don't have anything yet. I used to. Maybe I'll put it back up. But yeah, I'll probably do. Something, but in the meantime, the best place to go is sodadrinkerpro.com and on Twitter at sodadrinkerpro. So,
yeah. Is that your only Twitter? Is that the only one that you run on? You don't have a personal one? You are just Soda Drinker?
Yeah. I have. That's like basically, I have a personal one. I just never use it. So like this is the one that you can find me on. So like I think the other one just kind of like sits there, and every once in a while someone like sends me a tweet at it or something, and I'll be like, oh, I should check that.
Oh, that's right, I have that Twitter account.
Yeah. So but,
they make it pretty easy now. There's things like TweetDeck and Hootsuite. There's many ways now to see all of your feeds at once.
Yeah, it's neat. It's like, but everyone on Twitter, it's fun. I just like like reading all the things people are tweeting about and all that stuff. It's really neat. It's really fun. So yeah.
Awesome. And actually, a final question from my side. What have you been playing lately? Like, what have you been playing that you've actually been enjoying?
Yeah. There's one game that like it's kind of like my go-to game a little bit is Ace of Spades, the first-person shooter game. And
yeah.
I play that a lot. So like, it's mostly like I like it, but it's like, and it's a good game. It's like but it's more like I got kind of good at it, so now I just go on there and be like, yeah, I'm gonna relax and play this a little bit, and then I recently got Stick of Truth. That's really good. That's
I've heard that.
Yeah, I like that a lot, and yeah, all sorts of stuff. I basically just every once in a while, I'm probably like everyone else where it's like you buy like a million games on the Steam sale, and you've got. And so I just kind of like pick through it and I'm like, I gotta play that one today. I gotta play this. So like, I like all of them, and kind of like, and I'm really looking forward to the new Smash Brothers game. I'm definitely gonna pick that up.
You and everyone else.
Oh yeah, it's like that's gonna be. I love Smash and stuff. It's like that's really nice, and I've been meaning to pick up the new Super Mario World the Wii U one. I just the main reason I haven't is like there's so many games that I want to play, but like I gotta finish this game before I do. So like, I just spend most of the time I'm working on my game, and it's like I want it when it's like the next update of it, and for the console version, I want it to be like way like miles ahead of craziness than than where it's at now. So there's so much more stuff in it, and the Soda world is exactly the same, but like but there, except for the Kinect and some other stuff, but all the Vivian Clark stuff, I'm so psyched about that. So I hope people enjoy it. But either way, I get a game that I get to play.
All right, Will, thank you so much for taking the time today and talking to us.
Thanks
It's been
for being
awesome.
with us.
Oh, no problem. Thanks for having me. It's been really fun.